etong video na 'to, feel free to share this with your other parent friends din kasi sure ako makakatulong 'to sa kanila. Ngayon, bakit ba tayo nandito ngayong gabing 'to or hapon na 'to 'no? So, malamang karamihan sa inyo are parents. I know meron dito buntis pa lang, pero mas marami dito yung napanganak na yung anak nila, mga toddlers na. College funding is something na siguro tayo, yung mga millennials, medyo negative yung tingin natin dito kasi batch natin yung naabutan ng parents natin na naloko daw or nagsara yung mga education companies, yung mga ayoko na mag-name drop, pero alam niyo na yon yung mga education plan, 'di ba, na nagsara. So, nowadays wala na masyadong gano'ng company na nag-ooperate or yung iba nag-ooperate only to serve their old clients, pero hindi na sila nagtatanggap ng panibago. So with that, what can we do 'no? Yun yung magiging goal natin for tonight's session. So sino ba ako 'no? Yun muna pala. My name by the way is Bea and siguro yung iba sa inyo nakita ako on TikTok or Facebook as The Savvy Pinay. I am a financial advisor, so yung iba sa inyo alam na yun. I work at Sun Life. I've been here for 6 years now, both as an insurance advisor and also as an investment solicitor. Ako din is a content creator. So, gumagawa ako ng videos about finance, adulting, business, both sa TikTok and sa Facebook. And most importantly, ako din po ay isang magulang. So, yung baby ko naman right now is 1 year old and magpa 5 months. Yan. So, magkakalapit ng age yung babies natin. Sige. So, ano ba yung current reality, no? College tuition fee, pataas yan ng pataas. Okay? Lahat tayo dito sa room, most likely millennials. Siguro may konting Gen Z. Pero sure ako na kung ano man yung tuition fee nung college tayo, isipin nyo, balikan nyo, magkano ba yung tuition fee natin nung college tayo? Alam nyo, masyashock kayo kasi sobrang layo na ng presyo nowadays. You can go to your alma mater, tapos i-inquire nyo sa kanila, magkano na ngayon per unit. Maliban na lang kung sa state university kayo nag-aral kasi meron ng libreng tuition fee sa mga state U. Pero doon sa mga private university na graduates, pataas yan ng pataas. To give an idea, 2017, ang tuition fee increase was almost 7%. Noong 2020, nasa 12%. This was pandemic ha. 2021, medyo lumiit, naging 4%, 4.7% na lang. Pero, nung nag-research ako, magkano yung magiging tuition fee increase ngayong 2024? O, di ba kasi magpapasokan pa lang ulit eh. Here are some of the news articles na nakita ko. For example, sa De La Salle University, ang tinitignan nilang tuition fee increase or TFI ay nasa 5%. Ateneo de Davao, 7%. UE, University of the East, 9.5%. Magkakaiba talaga per school. Pero lahat sila nagtataas ng tuition fee. Now, how much more pagdating nung time na yung mga anak natin, sila na yung nasa college, 'di ba? Ilang percent na kaya yung tinaas in total? So yan ang hindi natin alam, 'di ba? 2035, 2040, pag college na, time na ng kids natin, ibang-iba na yung presyo for sure. So for today, yun yung isa sa agenda natin. Paano ba natin malalaman kung magkano yung dapat nating ihanda? Okay, bakit ba important that we save up for college as early as possible? Number one, best friend talaga natin ang time. Whenever we talk about investing, saving up, personal finance in general. So meron tayong tinatawag na time value of money wherein sinasabi dito, yung pera mo, 'di ba? Kapag nilagay mo siya sa isang instrument na nag-earn ng interest, magko-compound 'yon. So palaki ng palaki. Patagal ng patagal, habang iniiwan mo yung pera mo doon, lumalaki din yung value niya. So we take advantage of that. The younger your child is now, tapos magsa-start ka na mag-prepare for college, mas okay 'yon. Another reason is, meron kang opportunity to diversify your investments. Dahil mas mahaba yung panahon mo, no, kunwari, marami sa atin 1 year old yung anak, di ba? Sabihin na natin na college will start at 18 or 19 years old. Ibig sabihin, meron tayong 17 or 18 years left para paghandaan yon. Merong nagsabi 4 years old yung anak niya. So, ibig sabihin, meron kang around 14 to 15 years. That's still a long time. And because of that, marami tayong pagpipilian kung saan natin ilalagay yung pera natin. On the other end, kung merong magulang na kunwari, 15 years old na yung anak niya, tapos ngayon pa lang siya magsa-start, no? So, ibig sabihin, in 3 to 4 years, college na yung anak niya. Wala na siya masyadong options, no? Malamang yan, digital bank na lang. Literal na save na lang niya. So with that, nakukontian tayo sa opportunities, mas mahihirapan tayong magpalago ng pera. So kapag mas maaga ka nag-start, less stressful. Kasi kahit maliit yung pera natin na kino-contribute every month, for example, because we have a long time, magko-compound yun ng magko-compound. It will still grow. Pero yung magulang na 3 taon na nga lang yung deadline niya, kailangan niya ng malaking sum of money. No? Kumbaga kailangan malaki na yung kapital niya. Kasi konti na lang yung panahon para magpatubo ng pera. So ngayon, ano yung steps na kailangan nating i-take? This webinar will revolve around these 5 steps. Okay? Pwede nyo itong i-screenshot para meron agad kayong copy sa phone ninyo. 5 steps lang to, pero medyo matagal yung usapan na to. Usapang pera eh. So, we start with the first one, which is to project the potential tuition fees in the future. Ang tanong lang naman kasi is, now na ang anak ko, yun nga, 1 year old siya. So, magkano na yung tuition fee? 17 years from now, 18 years from now. So, yan ang gagawin natin. First of all, in any saving goal, whether education yan or pang-retirement, no? Pag meron tayong pinag-iipunan, we have to begin with end in mind. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Kailangan, alam natin, magkano ba yung kailangang pera na meron tayo? Magkano ba yung target money na dapat maipon mo? Okay. So, ano yung mga factors na kailangan i-consider? Kung sa ngayon, ang tuition fee, kunwari, sabihin na natin let's say 200,000 a year for a private university. Years from now, diba, 18 years from now, 15 years from now, hindi na po yung 200,000. Kasi, meron din po tayong inflation na tinatawag pagdating sa tuition. Yung inflation, I'm sure you've already heard sa balita, tumataas yung presyo ng bilihin, 'di ba, sa palengke, sa groceries, yung gas, o 'di ba? Pero sa totoo, pati tuition fee ng bata, merong inflation 'yan. And pwede nating sabihin na naglalaro ang inflation rate, no, ng 6 to 12% pagdating sa tuition fee. Taon-taon, tumataas daw ng 6% to 12%. Personally, ako, ang kino-consider ko is between 8 to 10% whenever I do my projections. Another factor to consider din, syempre, is yung school. Kasi magkakaiba yung tuition fee level ng schools eh. Kunwari, iba yung tuition fee sa mga, kunwari, Enderan, yung mga international school, iba yon versus, yung UST, Lasal, Ateneo, iba yon. So, maganda rin na tayo as parents, we have to be realistic as well. No? Kunwari, kung ang goal mo talaga mapag-aral ang anak mo sa top tier private university, accept the fact na ngayong 2024, ito yung presyo ng tuition fee dito. Kasi yun yung gagawin nating basis sa computation eh. That's something na, although tayo naman as parents, we don't know yet kung saan gustong mag-aral ng anak natin, pero we can have some assumptions. 'Di ba? Kasi meron namang mga schools na alam mong ito yung level ng tuition. And of course, depende rin talaga sa duration ng pag-aaral nila. Merong mga course na 5-year course, yung mga engineering, architecture. Merong mga course na, yung kunwari sa Lasal, yung ibang course doon parang 3 years lang tapos na. Tapos what if yung anak mo gusto mag-med school, gusto mag-law school, so mag-extend. Unless, ipapa-shoulder mo sa kanila yung tuition fee nila after ng bachelor's degree. Again, kanya-kanya na tayo doon when it comes to parenting. Okay, so what can we do? Meron akong pinrepare na Google Sheet tool that you can use. So ito, feel free to access using the QR code or using the URL. Pwede nyo itong i-open and paglaruan nyo yung calculator. So pag in-open nyo yan, ganito yung itsura niya. Ayan, ganito yung itsura niya. Sabi ko dyan, don't edit please. I-download nyo na lang. Kasi kapag in-edit nyo, baka may kunwari ini-edit ng isang tao, tapos ikaw gusto mo ring i-edit, Live kasi yan eh. Paki-download na lang 'to and you can use this, you can tweak this based sa gusto nyo. For example, yung nag-chat kanina, 4 years old yung anak niya. Tapos, kunwari, assume natin ang college will start at 19 years old. So, ayan po, 15 years to go. Kapag tinanong kita ngayon, magkano yung tuition fee sa school na gusto mo per year? Kunwari, sabi mo, 200,000. Okay. Ano yung gusto mong inflation rate? Ako, I'm assuming 8%. So, auto-compute na po yan. Assuming na 4-year lang yung course So, 4-year course, lalabas na dyan kung magkano yung future value. So, yung 200,000 ngayon, by the time na college yung anak niya, it's around 634,000. Year 1 pa lang. Nag-tuition fee increase ng year 2, 8%, 685. So on and so forth. When you total it, ito po yung lalabas. Yung nasa dilaw. Ngayon, kung meron kayong existing savings for education, pwede nyong i-type dito. Kunwari, Bea, nakaipon na ako ng 100,000. Okay, so i-minus mo dyan. So, right now, ang kulang mo na lang, 2.76 million. Diba? So again, you can use this tool. Just download it. So ibalik ko dito. Please take a screenshot of this. Paglaruan nyo yan mamaya. Or during the talk, pwede nyo namang paglaruan. So, take a screenshot of the total amount that you need. So kung gusto nyo, kasi itong webinar na to, medyo may activities to para lang alam nyo what to do. Kapag may time na kayo, kung nagdi-dinner man kayo, please, sagutan nyo yan. I-download nyo sa computer nyo. Para lang, meron kayo agad actual computations as we go along. Okay. Kung hindi naman, okay lang. Mada-download naman tong video na to. So gawin nyo sa own time nyo. Okay. Step number 2, once that you already know how much the target tuition fee is, it's time to ask, ano ba yung current financial situation natin? Whether you are a single parent or if you have a partner, a spouse, maganda to kung may partner ka, you do this together. Well, kapag single parent kasi, ikaw naman siguro yung nag-handle ng lahat ng finances. So, kaya mo na to gawin on your own. We have 4 things to take a look into. No, ito, para siyang inventory ng financial situation mo. So, we will have to check your income, your expenses, debts, and savings. Pagdating sa income, I want you to list down all of your income sources. I'm not saying na gawin nyo na ngayon, but during your free time, kayo nung partner mo or ikaw, kuha kayo kahit sa lang, papel, or kung kaya nyong mag-Google Sheets or Excel, baka much better yon. Mas madaling i-check yung information pag computerized So, list down everything, both yung mga fixed income, yung mga sure kang meron, as well as yung mga irregular income. Kagaya ng commissions, PF, if you are self-employed, tsaka mga bonuses. Okay. Next, you also list down all of your expenses. Okay, so hopefully that's something that you are familiar with. Yung mga recurring expenses nyo on a monthly basis, mga bills, yung mga needs ng anak nyo, groceries, transportation, yung mga non-monthly na gastusin, pero maybe quarterly or once a year naglalabas kayo for your insurance premiums, for your taxes, para sa mga self-employed. Kasi tayo yung naglalakad niyan wala tayong employer. Also, although puro toddler naman tayo, although may isa dito, 4 years old yung anak niya, so maybe nagsa-start ng mag-school, so you have expenses para sa primary education, you list that down. And then, kahit ito estimate lang, yung mga non-necessities, yung mga wants, try to estimate magkano yung inaabot on a monthly basis. Pag kumakain kayo sa labas, nagsha-shopping kayo, may gala, may travel, etc. Alright? The next one, list down all of your debts or utang kung meron man. Credit card balances, kung meron kayong car loan, housing loan, lista nyo yan. Magkano pa yung balance nyo, magkano ba yung required na monthly amortization, and ano ba yung interest rate. So bakit kailangan nating ilista tong debts, no? Kasi sa totoo lang, yung college fund preparation, it's one of the many things na pinaghahandaan sa personal finance. Retirement, other life milestones, education, tali-talian silang lahat. Ngayon, itong utang, as much as possible, we want to accomplish this as soon as possible. Because the interest, 'di ba lumolobo 'yan 'pag pinatagal mo. So, usually ako, I would advise na unahin mong ubusin yung utang, tapos saka ka talaga mag-focus sa education. Kasi, of course, you want to make sure muna na hindi ka natatalo sa interest, 'di ba? But again, that's for another discussion. For now, I'm just saying ilista niyo 'yan. And then merong different strategies niyan kung paano i-a-accomplish yung utang. Okay? And finally, the last one, savings. Ilista niyo lang literally. Magkano yung laman ng mga bank account niyo or kung meron na kayong mga existing investment accounts, ilista niyo lang kung magkano. Okay? And then, if ever na wala pa kayong specific goals, what do I mean by this? Meron akong mga nakakausap na client, 'pag tinanong ko sila, "Meron ka bang na-save na money?" "Yes, meron akong ganitong pera sa bank." When I ask them, "Anong purpose nun? Para saan yung pera?" They don't know. So, mangyayari diyan, sayang yung pera mo kasi you are not able to utilize it well. Pero kung alam mo kung ano yung goal mo, meaning you know the purpose, what it is for, you know when you need the money, and you know how much that goal costs, you can strategize kung saan mo siya ilalagay so that it can earn on its own. Much like, kunwari, education, that's one specific saving goal. Diba? Another specific saving goal, retirement, vacation, yung mga ganyan. So, mas maganda, meron kang specific na paglalaanan. So, anyway, lista nyo to if wala pa. Okay. Pag na-inventory nyo na lahat ng mga yon, ng different facets of your financial life, pwede nyong i-assess, given everything na nilista nyo dyan, diba? Lahat ng nakalista dyan, realistically, magkano yung pwede kong itabi para sa college? Kasi baka mamaya, as much as you wanna save for your child's college fund, baka wala ka naman na palang natitira after your expenses and debts. Baka wala na palang natitira. So pagka ganun, syempre, magsa-strategize ka na maybe you have to cut down on some expenses or maybe kailangan mo palang mag-increase ng income. Another question to ask, kung meron bang unexpected financial challenge, handa ba kami? Kaya ba naming harapin yun? For example, when you check your savings, meron ba kaming emergency fund? Emergency fund, lagi nyo na yung maririnig sa mga forums on finance. Sasabihin nila at least 6 months of your income or monthly expense. To be honest, wala namang rule. Kasi nasa sa inyo yon kung ano yung level of amount na pag meron ka nito, you have your peace of mind na. But at the end of the day, maganda na bago kayo mag-delve into any investments, sana may emergency fund. Health insurance, meron ba? Bakit? Kasi baka mamaya, let's say, invest ka ng invest para sa college fund ng anak mo. Eh, paano kapag nagkasakit? Pag nagkasakit ka, tas wala kang health insurance, you have no choice kung hindi galawin yung tinabi mo for your child's college. O, diba? That's why it pays to have health insurance. If you are employed, meron bang HMO coverage dun sa employer mo? Do you have enough critical illness coverage? So if wala pa, those are some of the things that you also want to consider. O, ito pa, sabi dito, life insurance. Life insurance is something na medyo nalilito pa yung general public, no? Akala nila pag life insurance, ikakayaman. Hindi po. Okay? Life insurance, tayo, no, bilang mga magulang, I would assume na most of us here are breadwinners. Lalo na nowadays, 'di ba, yung dual income couples, 'di ba? Kasi mahirap kapag isa lang yung kunwari mag-asawa kayo tapos isa lang yung nag-earn, medyo mahirap talaga 'yon. Ngayon, kung dual income kayo, may mangyari dun sa isa, meaning to say, mawala siya sa picture, no? Mag-pass away. Medyo mas kaya pa nga kasi in a way, the surviving spouse can still earn. Pero para dun sa mga single parent, if kayo lang yung nagwo-work para dun sa anak nyo, paano na yun pag nawala kayo? Saan sila kukuha ng pang day-to-day expenses? Not even the college fund Kasi yung college fund matagal pa yun. Pero yung pang araw-araw na gastos, yun yung mas problema pag nag-pass away yung breadwinner. How will you even reach your college fund goal kung yung pang gastos next week problema na? 'Di ba? So, these are the reasons why you have to think of these protection products. Emergency fund through savings, health insurance through mga HMO, mga critical illness plans, and life insurance. Okay? Again, hindi nyo yan ikakayaman. Pero it will prevent your surviving family members or kayong family. Pag merong sakuna, hindi kayo maghihirap. 'Di ba? Meron kayong safety net kahit papaano. Okay. Also, I want to reiterate lang din na whatever lifestyle yung na-enjoy ng family nyo, ng kids nyo, that's all thanks to your income. Your income dictates the kind of lifestyle that you have. So, pag nawala yung income earner, that becomes a big problem. Paano mag-a-adjust yung family? So, very important. Itong tatlong bullet points na yan. Very, very important. Okay? And of course, finally, the last question to ask. Kapag nakita nyo to, yung income, expense, debt, and savings, meron na kayong big picture, pwede nyo nang i-scrutinize, no, yung financial situation nyo. For example, meron ba tayong mga expenses na hindi naman talaga necessary? Yung pwede nating i-cut para mapunta na lang to sa ibang bagay. Like for example, kung napansin mo na, ang laki na pala ng eating out budget nyo, as in astronomically OA na talaga. Why not, maybe bawasan mo yon so that you can rechannel the funds pang education. Or maybe if ayaw nyo talagang mag-iba yung mga unnecessary expenses nyo, then maybe it's time to look for additional streams of income. Kasi ako naniniwala ako na mas madaling maghanap ng additional income source rather than magbawas ng gastos, lalo na pag nasanay ka na sa lifestyle na meron ka. So kung gusto mong i-keep yan, you better earn more. Nowadays, sa generation natin, lalo na sa mga Gen Z, napakaraming opportunities to earn. Sobrang uso ang side gig economy, 'di ba? Ang daming ways to upskill. So ultimately, kung meron kang initial resources para makahanap ng additional income source, kasalanan na natin 'yun kung hindi pa tayo mag-take action. Maraming demand for our skills. It's a matter of finding the right avenues for it. And syempre, to make time din. Alam ko challenging yan kasi syempre may anak tayo eh. Pero, season of sacrifice. Yun. Season of sacrifice. Okay? And of course, yun, there will be instances na baka yun nga kaya mo mag-reallocate ng resources para sa mga mas importanteng bagay. And finally, if feeling mo hindi enough yung tatlong bullet points mo dito, ask yourself, paano ko i-enhance yung financial resilience namin? Maybe get prepaid insurance. Or kung wala ka pa emergency fund, isama mo na yan sa monthly savings mo. Okay, labelan mo na yung savings mo kaysa nakatenga lang siya dun sa bangko. The third step, question. Now na alam mo na, okay, kaya ko nang mag-save ng ganitong amount per month, realistically. Saan ko na to ngayon ilalagay, Bea? Where do I place my money para pagdating ng college ng anak ko, tumubo-tubo naman na siya? Okay, so ito na yon. Papasok tayo sa concept of investments. Pag usapang investments or any financial product for that matter, madalas yung maririnig yung word na risk. Yung sasabihin, high risk yan. Or sasabihin, gusto nyo po ba low risk lang? So ano bang ibig sabihin ng risk? Basically, when you hear that word sa finance, ibig sabihin lang nun, probability na malugi ka or mawala yung pera mo. Matalo. Uncertainty or variability of returns. Yan yung risk. Ang return, in other words, reward. Kung kikita ka ba. So, risk and return or risk and reward, those are two sides of the same coin. Basically, kunwari may nagsabi sa'yo na, uy, itong kunwari stocks yan, madalas maririnig nyo stocks, or even crypto, or even forex, mga high risk or even ultra high risk instruments yung mga yun eh. Pag sinabi nilang high risk, ibig sabihin nun, meron kang chance na matalo doon, big time yung talo mo doon. As in, pwede talagang mawala yung pera mo. Pwede yun. But at the same time, meron ka ding possibility doon na malaki yung kitain mo. And lagi nating nakikita yan sa mga nagpo-post about their investments na nag-gain ako ng 30% in just 1 month, mga ganyan. But remember, kaakibat nung mataas na return na yon, there is also the possibility na matalo sila. Ay high risk, high return. Meanwhile, meron din naman low risk, low return. Ibig sabihin, oo, sobrang baba lang nung kikitain ng pera mo. Pero, hindi mawawala yung pera mo. Low risk, imposible kang malugi. Imposible siyang matalo. Or hindi naman imposible, pero maliit yung chance na matalo ka. Ganon. For example, ito, technically, iniwan mo sa savings account, yung traditional savings account sa bangko. 'Di ba hindi naman mawawala yung pera mo doon unless na-scam ka or yun nga, yung mga issues na inside job, ganyan. Pero kumbaga, kung ang usapan lang, yung paglagay mo doon, low risk yun eh. Kung naghulog ako doon ng 10,000 pesos, hindi na yun bababa. Yun na talaga yung value nun. Although, ang return niya, yung interest, napakaliit. Walang 1%. O, 'di ba? Low risk, low return. So guys, kapag meron nagsabi sa inyo na, "Uy, tara dito sa investment na 'to, guaranteed 'to, 100% dodoble yung pera mo after just 1 month." Isipin niyo, high return 'yun. Kasi daw dodoble agad yung pera mo, 100% in just 1 month. Guaranteed daw. 'Pag sinabi yung guaranteed, low risk. So pagka gano'n po, big, big red flag 'yun. Malamang scam 'yun. Okay, kasi there's no such thing as low risk tapos high return, walang gano'n. Ngayon na alam na natin yung mga risk, na low risk, low reward, high risk, high reward, what can we do? Kailangan ba na isa lang yung pipiliin natin? Actually, hindi. We have what we call diversification. Ang ibig sabihin ng diversification is you will be putting your money in different placements. Sabi nga, do not put all of your eggs in just one basket. Kasi kung lahat ng pera mo nasa high risk, paano kung talo? Eh di wala ka ng pera. Kung lahat naman ng pera mo nasa low risk, napakaliit ng kikitain. Okay? So that's what we will do. Iba-ibang risk levels, papasukan natin silang lahat. And here are, to give you ideas lang, here are some of the different financial products, securities, that you can take a look into. And bukod sa mga nakasulat dito, I'm sure there are a lot na hindi ko pa nailagay. Pero ito yung most commonly known dito sa Pilipinas. Okay, so mayroong mga low risk, medium risk, high risk, and yung mga speculative or yung sobrang high risk na talaga. Just to share, ako personally, ito yung mga pinaglalagyan namin for our babies college fund. So in high risk instrument, meron kami sa local index fund, equity fund, and global feeder fund. Mamaya papakita ako example. Mutual funds yung tawag doon. Meron din kami medium risk, Pag-ibig MP2 naman. And for the low risk, meron naman kaming mga endowment policy. So didiscuss ko yan isa-isa later on. Ano tong percentage, Bea? So, sa nakikita natin dito, 'di ba? May pie chart na dinivide ko into the different risk levels. Ako personally, ito yung allocation ko nung pera. 20 to 30% nasa high risk, 30 to 40% nasa medium, 30 to 40% sa low risk. This way, kahit na yung high risk instrument ko, malugi ako dyan, majority pa din of our money nandun sa safer instruments. Hindi naman kami kawawa pagdating yung time na college na si baby. O, 'di ba? Kasi imagine if lahat yan pula. High risk mo 100%. Paano pag college ng baby mo bumagsak yung yung stock market? Kawawa naman tayo nun. Sige. So, for the mutual funds, para may konti kayong idea what it is, ito may video.
Let's talk about mutual funds. A mutual fund is an investment company wherein your money is combined with that of different individuals and companies, then invested in different assets to make it grow. What are some of the benefits of investing in mutual funds? Experts decide where to make it grow. You can redeem or sell your investment shares anytime. Your investments may earn more than traditional bank deposits. You can invest in different types of mutual funds depending on how much risk you're willing to take. Are you very conservative? The money market fund is best. Is taking a risk okay with you? Invest in an equity type fund. Somewhere in between? Opt for the balanced type fund. Choose the fund that fits your need and be one step closer to a brighter future. Start your financial journey today with Sun Life Asset Management.
Okay. So, 'di ba? At kahit na pinanood niyo, ha? Ano daw? Okay. So, ganito, mutual funds, paano ba siya nagwo-work? Basically, maglalagay kayo ng pera, no, doon nga sa investment company. For example, yung Sun Life Asset Management Company or SLAMC for short. Ang maganda sa mutual funds, you can start small. Small time investor ka, 1,000 lang pera ko, pwede. Kasi if you wanna do direct investing sa stock market, hindi mo kaya yun with just 1,000 pesos. Masyadong maliit. So for beginners talaga, sobrang okay ang mutual funds. So meron kang 1,000, contribute ka. Yung pera mong yun, it's being pulled together with other investors' money. No? So tayo, naglagay tayo, tago 1,000, hanggang lumaki na ng lumaki yung pondo. Yung fund managers ng SLAMC, sila na yung magba-buy and sell ng stocks. And yung performance nun is reflected doon sa index fund or doon sa equity fund, ganon. Ngayon, magkano yung usual earnings doon? To be honest, nagbabago-bago kasi everyday yung presyo. Okay, yun yung tinatawag natin na ito, NAVPO or NAVPS. Pag nakita nyo yan, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, net asset value per unit or per share. Basically, ibig sabihin, presyo. Isipin nyo, pag bumili kayo ng isang investment unit sa mga mutual funds, para kang bumili ng Jolen, ng marble. Okay? So yung marble na yon, kunwari piso isa, nung binili mo siya today. The following day, nag-iba na yung price niya, 98 centavos na lang. So technically, yes, you still have that, kunwari you bought 1,000 pieces. Technically, 1,000 pieces pa din yung Jolens mo. Pero, bumaba yung value, di ba? 98 centavos na lang. So, pag tinotal mo yon, 98 centavos times 1,000, 980 pesos na lang yung value niya. Hindi na 1,000. Di ba? So, ganun sa mutual funds. Nag-earn tayo dito because of the changes in the price. So, kung nakabili ka ng investment units na mababa yung presyo, and over time, tumaas yung price nun, doon tayo nag-earn. Okay? In reality though, we cannot really know what will happen in the future. Bigyan ko kayong example. Itong nasa kaliwa, okay, itong nasa left side, this is the actual data of the Philippine Equity Fund na mutual fund sa SLAMC. Kunwari daw, nung nag-start nung 2000, this was April 2000, ang price niya kada isa piso. Sabihin na natin na 15 years later, okay, 15 years later, uy, nasa ano na siya, around 4 pesos. Mga 3.75 siguro. So, ibig sabihin, yung mga bumili nung 2000, tapos kahit, let's say, they're accumulating, bili sila ng bili every month, pataas yan, no? Diba? Tumaas. Pagdating ng 2015, talagang at again sila. Okay? So, kumita. Meanwhile, ito ha, what if naman daw, nung 2016, dun ka nag-start maglagay. 2016, so yun na, mga, sabihin na natin, 3.5 kada isa. 3 pesos 50 centavos kada isang investment unit. Nakabili ka daw dyan ng 100,000 units. Okay? Kaso, tignan nyo guys, pagpatak ng 2024, bumaba. Nasa ano na lang yan, no? 3, eto nga mga 3 pesos na lang. So, yung mga bumili nun, currently, they are at a loss. O, diba? So, bakit ko to sinasabi? Because honestly, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I don't know what's gonna happen. Kaya nga, diba, higher risk siya. Yung changes, yung volatility, masyadong mataas. Pwede ka talagang malugi. Pero at the same time, yung potential mo for earnings nandun. For example, ngayong 2024, those who started nung January daw, kunwari naghulog ka ng January 1. So, ang return mo year to date, this is as of March 27, 2024, nag-earn ka na daw ng 8.9%. Yung mga nag-invest naman nung March 2023, 1 year ago, kumita na rin sila, 7.61%. Yung mga nag-invest 3 years ago, ang laki na, no? Almost 10% na yung earnings nila. Pero, ba't ganon? Yung mga nag-invest daw 5 years ago, kailan ba yung 5 years ago? That was pre-pandemic. O, diba? So, dito yon pre-pandemic times. Ito, 2018, 2019. Those who invested, they are currently at a loss as of March 27. Ayan minus 14%. Lugi sila ng 14%. But what's the good news? Kung ang goal nila ay mas long-term pa, they have a lot of years left. Pwede pa natin yung letter A, hintayin na tumaas uli yung presyo. As you can see, the NAVPO can really go up again. Tignan nyo, ito bumaba, Tapos tumaas. So, pag ganun-ganun talaga siya. Or, another option you can do is fund switching. Ibig sabihin, kapag merong times na bumababa yung market, yung mga naipon mo previously, you can switch it to a lower risk fund. Kagaya nung sabi sa video, di ba? If you want low risk, may money market. Kung gusto mo aggressive, equity. Pag gusto mo, gitna lang, may balance. So, etong mga to, you can do this with the help of your mutual fund advisor or kung sa bangko, yung representative nila doon. Okay. Another example, ito namang World Equity Index Feeder Fund. This is another mutual funds na global naman. Okay, when you say global, yung pinag-i-investan dito outside the Philippines. Pero ang maganda sa kanya, you don't have to buy US dollars. You can invest here using Philippine pesos. Okay? And ako, may bias ako dito. Mas focused ako sa global funds kasi they are performing much better than the local market. Okay? So dito, ganun din, tignan nyo yung returns. So, those who started nung January 1, meron na silang 8.6%. Di ba? Those who started last year, March, grabe, tignan nyo, 29, almost 30% return. 1 year lang. Again, high risk, high reward. And then, those who invested 3 years ago, 35% return. 5 years, wala pa kasi relatively bago lang tong si World Equity Index Feeder Fund or si WAFE. Para shortcut, we call it WAFE. So it started 2020. When you compute, usually pinipeg natin yung returns dito or the compounded annual growth rate ng around 8 to 12%. But then again, in real life, it changes. It could go higher, it could go lower, it could even be negative. Okay, how do you start with mutual funds? Makipag-usap kayo sa mga investment solicitor, pwede. So ako, I'm one of them. Pwede rin kayong mag-open sa online stock brokerage. Usually, kunwari, si First Petrosec, si Call Financial, pwede kayong mamili sa kanila ng mutual funds. Pero pag sa online broker kayo bumili, hindi ako sure kung pwedeng mag-fund switching. Just like yung sabi ko na lilipat ka from one fund to another, I'm not really sure. Pero pag direct ka sa investment company, just like sa SLAMC, ako yung mutual fund representative, yon pwede mag-fund switch. From equity, pupunta kang money market, tapos magbabalance, pwede yon. Another alternative, you can also open UITF sa mga bangko. They work the same way as mutual funds. Okay? How much do you need para makapagsimula? Sa SLAMC, for as low as 1,000 pesos. Para sa mga local funds, no, yung sa Philippine setting. Pero kung gusto mo ng global funds kagaya ng WAFE, no, na invested sa foreign countries, you need minimum 10,000 to start. Pero maganda sa kanya, yung succeeding investments mo, pag magdagdag ka, 5,000 na lang yung minimum. Pero yung local funds, very affordable, 1,000 pesos lang. Okay. Next, pagdating sa medium risk, Pag-ibig MP2. Ang MP2, this is a program by one of our government agencies, Pag-ibig, na voluntary savings facility ito. 5-year maturity. And sabi dito, it is designed for active Pag-ibig fund members. So dapat nagbabayad ho kayo ng Pag-ibig. No? Kasi yung iba dito, maybe mga self-employed, yung iba hindi sila nagko-contribute. Pero if you want to enjoy MP2, kailangan yung magpa-member. Tapos bayad kayo dun sa Pag-ibig contribution, saka kayo makakapag-open ng MP2 account. And this will yield higher dividends kesa dun sa regular Pag-ibig savings. So para may idea tayo, magkano ba usually ang kitaan dito? Nag-earn ka nga pala dito via dividends. Basically, yung hinuhulog mong pera kay Pag-ibig MP2, ginagamit yun ni Pag-ibig para ipautang sa mga naglo-loan ng, 'di ba, housing loan sa kanya. And so kung kumita si Pag-ibig, sa kanya ibibigay sa atin yung dividends or yung balato. So whenever you hear the word dividends, ibig sabihin lang nun, balato. Pag kumita yung company, bibigyan niya tayo ng share sa profit niya. Okay? And typically, ang dividend natin dito is around 5 to 7% per year. And itong nasa kanan, ito historical data of the dividend rates of MP2 from 2011 to 2021. So, ang highest niya so far was noong 2017. It was 8.11%. Last year, 2023, ang dividend rate na nirelease nila, binalita ngayong 2024, is nasa 7 point something %. So, not bad talaga. Pero bakit ko siya tinag as medium risk, no? Medium risk siya because hindi guaranteed yung dividends. As you can see, wala pa namang nangyayari na zero, 'di ba? Lahat naman may bigay sa atin pag-ibig. Pero hindi niya gina-guarantee na laging meron. Para nga naman walang sabit. Kung sakali talagang hindi siya kumita, hindi siya required na magbigay ng dividendo. Pero ang maganda kay pag-ibig, MP2, yung pera mo, imposible siyang mabawasan. Your principal is protected. Okay? Unlike kanina, dun sa high risk, sa mutual funds, pwede ka talagang naghulog ka ng 100,000, pwede siyang maging 80K, 50K, pwede yun. Okay? Sige. So how do you start? Again, magpa-member ka muna sa Pag-ibig, maghulog ka ng kahit isang contribution lang, tapos mag-open ka na ng MP2 account. Apparently, you can do it online, yung pag-register sa MP2. But personally, hindi ko pa po natatry yun. Ang ginawa ko was to visit a Pag-ibig branch. It doesn't matter kung saan. Basta Pag-ibig office pwede. Okay? Wala din siyang coding. Sa SSS kasi pag pumunta kayo, nakabase sa last digit ng SSS number, di ba? Kapag Pag-ibig, any day pwede. And also, another good thing about MP2, very beginner friendly siya. You only need 500 pesos to start. That's the minimum contribution. And hindi rin required na every month maghuhulog ka. Same with mutual funds, hindi required na meron kang monthly investment. Pero syempre, at the end of the day, kung seryoso talaga tayo na mag-ipon for our child's college fund, mas maganda talaga na we make it a regular contribution, di ba? Next naman, the third one, for the low risk placement, endowment policy, yung pinaglalagyan namin. Ano ba yung endowment? This is actually a type of life insurance contract na nakadesign siya to give a lump sum amount. So, isang bultuhang pera after a specific number of years or upon death. So, typically, ang mga endowment, nasa 10, 15, or 20 years yung maturity niya. Ibig sabihin, doon mo makukuha yung bultuhan. Kaya, hahanap ka ng endowment na pasok sa edad ng anak mo. Diba? For example, if your child is, kunwari, 5 years old siya ngayon, then ideally, yung endowment na kukunin mo, magmamature siya in mga 13 years to 14 years para sakto sa college. Diba? So, ayun. Pero again, maraming types of endowment plans in the market. Kailangan lang talagang humanap ng swak sa context ng anak mo. Okay? And also, some endowment will even give you dividends. Parang sa MP2. But in MP2, not guaranteed kung magano. Here's another quick illustration of how it works. Basically, dahil insurance to, magbabayad po tayo sa insurance company nung tinatawag na premium. Or yan yung bill mo sa insurance. And fixed lang yung number of years. Kunwari, yung isi-share ko 8 years to pay. 8 taon lang magbabayad. Guaranteed yon. And then, yung client, entitled siya na makatanggap ng payouts, no? So, yung payouts niya, usually ganun sa endowment, yung iba every year, yung iba every other year, may nakukuhang pera. Or yung iba naman din, they choose to leave the payouts, iiwan nila yon kasi tutubo. No? And pag tumubo siya, kukunin na upon maturity. Kasama nung tinatawag na maturity benefit or yung isang bagsakang pera. Pero, just in case na, kunwari during the course of the endowment policy contract duration, what if nag-pass away yung client? Because this is still a life insurance policy, makukuha ng family death benefit, isang bultuhan ulit na pera. Bukod sa mga payouts na to, ibang usapan pa yung death benefit. Ang MP2 at saka yung mutual funds, kapag nag-pass away yung parent, yung investor, sa mutual funds, it will undergo legal processes. Kasi pag mga instruments na gano'n, mga investment instruments, hindi naman pwedeng basta-basta ibigay sa asawa yung yung naipong pera. Hindi siya gano'n. So, merong legal process yon. Sa MP2 naman, wala pa akong personal experience or even narinig na story, no? Pero, as far as I know, kapag nag-pass away naman yung investor, yung family members niya, so yun nga, yung spouse or yung anak, ganyan, they just have to go to Pag-ibig Tapos, kailangan i-report yun. And, ang alam ko susundin yung family code kung sino yung makakakuha ng pera. So, ayun. But dito, kay endowment plan, because this is a life insurance policy, kung sinong isusulat na beneficiary nung kliyente, whether kung yung asawa ba niya, no? Or maybe, I don't know, magulang niya. Depende kung sino yung trusted adult niya. Doon mapupunta yung pera. And syempre, responsibility na nung beneficiary na yon kung paano i-handle yung lump sum. So, ganun nag-work si endowment. Ang tanong, magkano naman yung kikitain mo? Because this is low risk. Syempre, expect din natin low returns. Usually, nasa 2.5 to 3% lang yung compounded annual growth rate. Much, much smaller versus the previous two na naglalaro sa 5% to 7%, 8% to 12%, o 'di ba? Ang layo. Pero ang maganda sa kanya is meron kang makukuha na guaranteed payouts. Na hindi ka na mamomroblema sa market fluctuations, hindi ka mamomroblema sa ekonomiya ng Pilipinas, o 'di ba? Hindi ka na mamomroblema kung kikita ba tong company na 'to. Because at the end of the day, guaranteed yung payouts. So, etong example na 'to, this is for Sun Accelerate, which is one of our endowment plans in Sun Life. Etong color green sa gilid, those are the guaranteed payouts dito sa plan ng isang client. Non-guaranteed na mga dividends and interests. Kunwari, iniwan ng client, no? Based on our projections, again, based on certain assumptions, ito siya, magkakaroon pa ng additional 446,000. So, pag tinotal, nasa 1.4M, pero ang nilabas niya lang in total, nasa 800K. So, kung tutuusin, magkano yung kinita niya doon? 827 minus 1446, mga nasa 600K, 620. Or mga 70, almost 75%, no, after 20 years. Pero again, maliit yun kasi imagine 20 years, diba? 20 years in total. Endowment plan na Sun Accelerate, I usually advise para sa mga anak nila 1 year old or younger. So if your child is older than 1, ibang endowment na yon. Sun Dream Achiever. That's the name of the other endowment. So now, paano ba mag-start sa low-risk endowment policy? Number 1, maghanap muna kayo ng insurance company na nag-o-offer niyan. Kasi not all life insurance companies offer this product. Sa amin sa Sun Life meron. Pag nakapag-research na kayo, kasi pwede yun, mag-window shopping ka, di ba? Search mo muna all possible options. Pag alam mo na kung saan, speak with an insurance agent from each company para ma-explain nila sa'yo yung specifics. And of course, pag tinanong nyo ako magkano ba inaabot yun, this one, Sun Accelerate, around 14,000 per quarter. Per quarter, ibig sabihin 3 buwan. Or in a year, mga nasa minimum yan, mga 52,000 a year. Yung isa namang type, yung Sun Dream Achiever, if your child is 2 years old and above, yan yung mas marirecommend ko. Nasa 11,000 ang minimum dyan per quarter. Okay? Or mga sabihin na natin 45K, yan, 40 to 45K per year. Okay? But of course, at the end of the day, the specific amount will depend on your profile. Kasi life insurance to So, tinitignan namin yung edad, yung gender, yung health ng magulang. And, sige. So, dahil nga recorded naman to, para matapos tayo on time, I'll continue, no? So, natapos tayo with step number 3. Okay, so nakita na natin what the different potential financial placements na pwede niyong paglagyan, no? Ang next step is contribute daw regularly to these instruments. Pero ang tanong, magkano? Magkano yung ilalagay ko per month, o 'di ba? Well, kanina nga nakita na natin during step number 2, 'di ba nag-assessment kayo? Because alam mo na, in-inventory mo lahat ng bagay pagdating sa personal finance nyo. You know well kung hanggang magkano talaga yung realistic na makakontribute mo. Pero dahil maraming items, maraming financial products, how do you decide? Again ako, kung ayaw nyo nang ma-stress out, and since medyo magkakahawig yung age ng kids natin, you follow this. Okay? Kayo na bahala kung 20 ba, 25, 30, 30, 35, 40, pero dapat maglaro dyan. Now, this will only change if your child is older na. Kunwari, kung merong manood nitong video na to, na yung anak niya nga is, let's say, 15 years old na, then definitely, that parent cannot afford higher risk or even medium risk, sa totoo lang. Unless willing talaga siya na sumugal. Pero usually, pag maiksi na lang yung panahon mo to prepare for that goal, dun ka na talaga sa mas lower risk. Dapat doon ka na sa mas guaranteed. Pero dahil mahaba pang panahon natin, lahat tong risk levels na to, pwede nating paglagyan. So here's a case study. Case study na lang because I want you to have an idea kung paano nyo siya i-apply sa sarili nyo eh. So number one, di ba nga nag-assessment na kayo ng sa inventory sa step number 2. So once you know the answer there, ilista nyo how much yung realistic budget. Also for step number 1, sana nagawa nyo din, no, na sagutan nyo tong calculator, i-download nyo, huwag nyo pong i-edit. Okay, huwag i-edit dun sa Google Sheet. You download it, you answer this. Makikita nyo kung magkano yung target nyo na college fund. And then dyan natin i-check kung paano natin siya ma-accomplish. So actually, what you can do is, ito, example, in this case, yung magulang daw, sabi niya, kaya niya magtabi ng 12,000 a month for the child's college fund. So gawin lang natin, i-divide natin ito based on the percent allocation. Sa high risk, let's say nag-decide siya to invest in local tsaka in global, hinati niya yung 30%. Yung isa, 10% for local, tapos 20% sa global. Just multiply. What's 10% of 12K? 1, 2. Anong 20%? 2, 4. O, diba? Sa MP2, medium risk, 30%. Just multiply, you get this. O, low risk daw, 40%. O, meron siyang 4, 8. Again, ito, example lang to ha. Kasi sa inyo, kung ilang percent, tsaka sa ang instrument kayo maglalagay. Pwede nyo gawin din is, paano nyo ba mapoproject kung naguhulog ka kunwari nitong mga amounts na to, di ba? Kung naguhulog ako niyan, Bea, magkano yung magiging future value? Kasi baka mamaya, hulog ka nga ng hulog, pero yun pala, masyadong maliit, o di ba? So baka mamaya, makulang yung results mo by the time na college na yung anak mo. So at the start pa lang, as early as now, we can actually project, okay? Projections na naman to. So not guaranteed, pero we can project using what we call the TVM calculator or time value of money calculator. Pwede nyo i-google yan, napakaraming websites na nag-offer niyan. May mga free mobile apps din. Pero yung nakita ko is this one. So you can go here. Now, if you can scan the QR code, pwede nyo tong itry. Tuturuan ko kayo kung paano siya gamitin. So halimbawa, start tayo dito sa local Philippine Index Fund na investment niya. Kunwari daw, maghuhulog siya ng 1,200 kada buwan. So pag in-open nyo yung calculator, this is how it will look like. Medyo intimidating yan, pero okay, sundan nyo lang to. Number 1, balikan natin yung assumptions ha. Ito. Sabi daw dito, yung anak niya 2 years old. Ang college daw magsa-start ng age 19. So ibig sabihin, we have 17 years to go. Okay, bago mag-college si baby. 17 years. Okay, remember that. 17 years. Ngayon, unang question dito, number of periods. So para ma-compute nyo to, i-convert nyo lang ilang years, di ba? Times 12 months. Kasi kailangan nyo siyang i-convert into months. Okay? So, 17 years, di ba? Times 12, that's 204 months. So, ayun siya. Next, ano naman to? Interest per year. Remember, sabi ko, kanina sa discussions natin, ito yung usual rate of return sa mga ganitong investments. Usually, pinipeg ng 8%, 5%, blah, blah, blah. So, at the end of the day, kayo na naman yung mamimili kung ilang percent yung gusto nyong i-plug in dyan. Halimbawa, sa local fund, sabihin na natin, ako personally, I say it's 8% kapag nagpo-project ako. So, 8% ilalagay ko. Kung gusto mo, pwede mo siyang babaan kung medyo pessimistic ka, o ilagay mo dyan, 6%. Ganon. Present value naman, ang sinusulat dito is, what if sa initial hulog mo daw, meron ka na lalagay. Kunwari, at the start pa lang, naglagay ka na nung 150,000. Pwedeng ganon. But for the sake of this case study, I will assume na wala akong nilagay na malaking amount. Wala akong ilalagay na initial investment. Talagang doon ako sa monthly contributions. Ang monthly contribution ko daw, 1,200. Yan ang ilalagay mo dito sa periodic payment. Yes po, talagang negative yan. And yes po, naka-dollars siya. Kasi sa US siguro yung gumawa niyan eh. But it's okay. The dollar sign doesn't matter. Yung negative, huwag nyo nga alisin. Negative talaga siya. Tapos, mapapansin nyo din, merong settings yan sa ilalim. I-click nyo lang para mag-expand. Lalabas tong mga to. So, for this one, yung P over Y, pakipalitan po yan ng 12. So, dapat merong 12 periods in 1 year. Okay? Kasi monthly yung basis natin. Tapos ito, yes, just leave it now, number 1. Kapag in-enter natin yan, calculate, ang lalabas na dyan is itong results, which is around 503,000 pesos daw. So, ibig sabihin, kapag hinulog nyo daw yung 1,200 na yan buwan-buwan, meron daw kayong 503,000 pesos, assuming na nag-grow ng 8% taon-taon yung index fund. But again, in reality, it's not guaranteed na talagang 8% lagi. Nakita nyo yan dun sa illustration kanina, yung actual data. Iba-iba siya. O, another example, you do it with the Global Feeder Fund. Dito ako tinaasan ko yung interest rate, 10%. Kasi nga sa observation ko, mas okay yung performance ng global funds eh. So dito, mas malaki din yung contribution, 2,400 kada buwan. So pag kinalculate nyo yan, lalabas, yung 2,424 nyo, do it daw for 17 years, di ba? You will get 1.2 million. Pero again ha, may disclaimer ako dyan, amount is not guaranteed. This is based on certain assumptions. Oh, this is a high-risk investment. So, make sure lang na alam natin ang fluctuations. Pwedeng mas mababa dyan. Pwedeng mas mataas dyan. Next, for Pag-ibig MP2, dito naman, meron akong gusto lang i-note. Bakit binago ko yung number of periods? Bakit 180 na lang? Bakit hindi 204? So, ito, pag nagpa-project kayo, take into consideration yung mga lock-in period. Remember, si MP2, 5 years ang maturity niyan. Ibig sabihin, huwag kang mag-i-invest na, kunwari, alanganing panahon. Itong case study natin, 17 years, di ba, bago mag-college si baby. Kung after the 15th year, nakuha na niya yung MP2 niya, kailangan ba ibalik pa niya? Huwag na. Kasi pag binalik niya yun, that's another 5 years. Mabibitin. Hindi aabot sa college nung anak niya. Unless, strategy mo na, okay, itong MP2 para to sa ano niya, sa law school niya or sa med school niya. In that case, okay lang. Diba? Again, ang point nitong webinar naman is not to dictate, but to give you ideas on how to approach things. So, hindi naman kailangan na you will follow exactly kung ano yung nakasulat dito. Just to give you an idea, pag MP2, tas college ang usapan, yung bachelor's degree, take into account yung 5-year maturity. So, dito, kaya siya 180 kasi 15 years, diba? Times 12. Tapos yun, adjust nyo lang yung interest rate, magkano yung hulog monthly, we will arrive at around 1.03 million. So nakikita natin dito guys, kahit maliit yung amount, but as long as you do it consistently, and the earlier nga that you begin, yung barya mo, talagang lulobo siya ng lulobo. Diba? Time value of money. And finally naman, for the endowment, yung Sun Accelerate, this one, hindi ko na ginamit yung calculator kasi meron to sa proposal pag humingi kayo sa Sun Life Advisor. So, ako, I personally give ganitong summary para one look lang, kita na niya lahat. Nakasulat dito kung ano yung mga guaranteed payouts. So, itong color green, guaranteed yan. Tapos, nakasulat din dito magkano yung life insurance coverage because you have to note that dun sa inventory mo ng, di ba, kanina sa step number 2. Isulat mo na merong life insurance coverage to. So, nakasulat din dyan yung mga non-guaranteed parts. Potential dividends, potential interests, nandyan. So, if ito total natin everything, nasa 723,000 for this example. Pag nagawa nyo na yan, doon sa mga gusto nyong instruments, i-table nyo lang lahat. Diba? Just like this, naka-table. Magkano yung monthly contribution ko, tapos magkano yung lumabas sa calculator, tsaka sa proposal. Pag tinotal natin lahat-lahat yan, in this case study, lumalabas po 3.48 million. Every month, nagtatabi siya ng 12K for 17 years. In various instruments, hinuhulog niya. Ang kailangan niya lang naman, 2.8 million eh. Pero, based on our estimates, based dito sa mga certain assumptions natin, 3.47M, 3.48, i-round up mo na. So ano yun, Bea? Pwede bang bawasan ko na lang yung ano, because again, nasa sayo naman yun eh. So, tignan mo ulit, i-run mo yung numbers. Kung gusto mo na exact lang talaga na 2.8, walang problem. But yung iba naman, sasabihin, sige, okay yan. At least, meron akong pang-allowance. Diba? Kasi remember, itong pinroject natin kanina sa step 1, those are just the tuition fees. Hindi pa naman included doon yung allowance niya, 'di ba? Yung mga miscellaneous fees. Iba din kunwari yung kung may uniform pa ba siya dun sa university. So, pwede naman i-keep mo na 'yan kung afford mo naman. Hopefully magawa nyo 'yan in the coming days or weeks, no? Wala naman tong strict format, pero mas madali talaga to sa Google Sheets or sa Excel para on the spot pwede kayo mag-compute. Additional tips na lang, if you can, pwede nyo pong i-treat ang education fund contribution as a monthly bill. This way, kasama talaga siya doon sa necessities nyo na parang automatic budget ka talaga for that. So, pwedeng ganun yung mindset. Kung kaya nyong i-automate yung mga contributions or payments nyo, that's better. Minsan kasi tayo kapag manual tayong naguhulog, may part sa'yo na nanghihinayang, gusto ko na lang tong dalhin sa ibang bagay. So, to lessen that action, i-automate mo. Kasi kung ano na lang yung makita mo sa bank account mo, sa payroll mo, okay, ito na lang yung iba-budget mo. You can do this sa mutual funds. For MP2, pwede siya sa salary deduction sa mga employed, pero hindi ako sigurado kung merong automated kapag voluntary. Hindi ako sure. Maybe you can check sa mga banking apps nyo kung pwedeng automate bills payment tapos MP. So, let me know kung mag-work yun sa inyo. And finally, ang assumption natin, syempre, sana, as time passes by, our income also increases. And hopefully with that, mas kaya natin i-increase yung contributions natin over time. Just like in the case study, kung 12,000 yung contribution niya monthly nowadays, what if ba na yung income niya? 'Di ba? Kunwari, nagka 50% increase siya because nag-side hustle siya. Maybe, pwede siyang mag-allocate ng mas malaki. And in that way, nalilesen yung duration na kailangan niyang maghulog. The last step is all about monitoring your progress and adjusting your strategy as needed. And let me open this part with this quote: change is the only constant in life. One's ability to adapt to those changes will determine your success in life. Same goes with finance and with our saving goal. And in this talk, yun nga, specifically college fund. Lahat naman ng mga sharing ko dito, parang 90% not guaranteed. 'Di ba? Lahat tayo parang puro projections. So, ang question dyan is, kung hindi nagkakatotoo yung projections natin, what will you do? Ano yung magiging diskarte natin? So, yun yung bakit kailangan ng monitoring. Hindi porket nakapag-start ka na ng step 1, 2, 3, 4, okay na. Yes, maganda yon, nakapag-start ka na. But, kailangan tong step number 5, kailangan merong regular checkpoints. You have to consistently review, 'di ba? Assess what's happening, adapt. So kung merong mga financial changes, no, in your life, or kunwari sa economy natin or sa global news, 'di ba? What if nagkaroon na naman ng recession, o 'di ba? For sure affected yung mga high risk instruments mo. Even nga the MP2 could be affected by global factors, 'di ba? And of course, you have to be ready to adjust yung strategy along the way. Huwag tayong makukulong na, ay, ito na yung napag-decide namin nung start, so dapat mag-stick ako dito until the end. No. Mas maganda if flexible tayo. Right now, maybe this is your start pa lang sa journey na to, but you know, as you go along the way, mapapa-research naman din kayo, and maybe on your own, matututo na rin kayo ng technical knowledge. So, mas maganda, mas involved kayo. Kasi oo, pwedeng meron kayong financial advisor or kumuha kayo ng services from someone in the financial services industry, pwede naman yun. But at the end of the day, iba pa rin yung kayo mismo sa sarili nyo. You are also doing your own monitoring. So how can we do that? Maganda sana if mga monthly or quarterly, meron kayong ganitong practice, whether kayong mag-asawa or mag-partner, or again, if you are a single parent, dedicate a day, a weekend, o diba, nagagawin nyo to. Number 1, i-evaluate nyo uli yung 4 na rectangles kanina. Inventory nyo ulit. Tignan nyo kung merong changes, di ba? Tignan nyo kung, uy, nabawasan na pala yung utang ko. So now, I can rechannel some funds to savings. O kaya nakita nyo, hala, biglang lumaki yung mga expenses. Ang init kasi, taas ng kuryente namin. O, what can we do? O maybe I have to look for another income para hindi maapektuhan yung mga ibang savings goals just because mainit. You also have to check kung okay ba yung performance ng mga high-risk instruments natin. Because remember, NAVPO and NAVPS, nagbabago-bago everyday yan. Syempre, hindi nyo naman talaga papanoorin yung balita everyday na, you know, you don't really watch yung business news every day, right? But what you can do is at least once a month or once a quarter, check nyo lang. Para may idea kayo, ano bang nangyayari. Hindi yung ma-surprise ka na lang, bakit sobrang baba ng index fund ko. So, reviewin nyo yon so that then, if there's any need for you to fund switch, magawa. Diba? If you have to rebalance your asset allocation, magagawa. Maybe, kunwari lang, okay, may gains ka na from your high risk instrument, no? Kaso napansin mo, hala, parang bumaba siya versus the previous quarter. Tapos, chinek mo yung balita na, okay, so parang meron palang negative events ngayon happening in the local market. O, nag-release pala ng hawkish comments tong BSP, ganyan, ganyan, ganyan. So, what can you do? Para ma-preserve natin yung gains mo, i-fund switch mo na siya sa money market, yung low risk, di ba? And then, dahil nga mababa ngayon yung presyo, doon sa example, mababa yung presyo ng index ng local stocks, you can buy new investment unit. So pag mababa yung presyo, pag mababa yung NAV po, it's a good time to buy. But you can only know that kung nag-assessment ka or nagmo-monitor kayo. Also, it pays to have an annual or yearly check-up din. Actually, not just of your college fund portfolio, but your overall financial health. Diba? Yung financial picture para may idea kayo ano bang nangyari nung nakaraang taon and what do we plan to do in the coming year. And alam nyo kahit hindi naman January gawin to, okay lang eh. Kasi ngayon May na. Pwede naman ngayon yung simulan. Maybe you can check for income opportunities or financial threats, meaning what if mamaya nagsabi pala yung boss mo na magkakaroon ng retrenchment, o di ba? Or magsasara na pala yung company, magma-merger pala, so posibleng mawalan ka ng trabaho. So yung mga ganyan, kailangan ma-anticipate natin. Or baka mamaya merong opportunity for better paying job. So pag-uusapan nyo yan, di ba? Kung lilipat ka ba o hindi. Yung mga ganyan. Also, once a year, no, meron kayong overall assessment ng performance ng buo nyong portfolio. Kasi yung high risk, yes, you're doing it on a quarterly basis. Pero paano naman si low risk tsaka si medium risk? So yan, kahit once a year, no? Kasi lalo na si MP2, once a year na yung endowment plan, pag nagsa-start na kayo to earn dividends, ganun din, once a year lang. Yung MP2 tsaka si endowment, hindi nyo kailangan tutukan masyado. So yun, unlike yung high risk, na talagang kung kaya nyong i-monthly, much better. And also, once a year, having known these opportunities and threats, after evaluating the performance of your portfolio, pag-usapan nyo na kung may kailangan bang baguhin sa strategy. Bigyan ko kayong example. Kunwari, yung MP2 nyo, nag-mature na, sa case study, 15 years. Saan nyo ilalagay ngayon yung pera? Yung nakuha nyong lump sum sa MP2, ano nang gagawin natin doon? Lalagay mo ba siya sa money market? Lalagay mo ba siya sa digital bank? Itatago mo na lang ba siya sa bank account nyo? Kung nung time na yon merong inopen na bonds, retail treasury bonds. So minsan yung sa mga bangko, meron silang ganon. O kunwari, 6 months lang, magmamature na yon. Grab the opportunity. So yun, it really pays to know where to look for those opportunities. Nowadays sa Facebook, ang dami nag-share. Sa TikTok, mag-follow lang kayo ng mga, yung mga finance and creator, kung ano-anong opportunities yung makikita nyo. So again, these are the 5 steps for your college fund preparation. Ni-record ko tong call na to or itong webinar na to so that mabalikan nyo. And I hope na magamit nyo yung mga tools and resources na shinare ko dito. bit.ly/brighter-college. Pwede nyong sagutan yung form para may idea ako where you're coming from, what's your context. So pag nagbigay ako ng suggestion, talagang tali siya dun sa current scenario nyo. Sige, so if wala na kayong questions for now or kung nahihiya kayong magtanong, it's okay. Kasi nga naman, baka you have a very specific inquiry, medyo personal, you can message me through any of the following platforms and I'll be more than happy to share with you kung ano yung insights ko dun sa situation nyo. So if wala na, I thank you guys for sharing this evening with me and I hope madami kayong napulot, natutunan from here. I'll see you again next time, especially to those na magbubook ng call with me. Bye-bye!